Into the Nexus is a production of amove.tv. Bookmark Amove TV for other great video games and esports podcasts. Into the Nexus is sponsored by listeners like you via patreon.com/ITN. Greetings and welcome back, everybody, to the second to last episode of Into the Nexus for 2017. I'm Garrett Weinzierl. I'm joined as always by Kyle Fergusson. Welcome back, Kyle.
Good to be here, Garrett.
And also joining us, and I wasn't too sure he was going to make it, given the celebrations on Town Hall this week, Mr. Dunk Train. Welcome back to Into the Nexus.
Yeah, man, glad to make it back for the last episode of the year for me.
Nice. So yeah, okay, so the last episode you were on, we were like, well, this isn't going to live up to the last episode you were on because we were at BlizzCon, and now you're on this one. I'm like, well, this isn't going to live up to the last podcast you did because that was straight up a party.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, so are you enjoying being the king of Reddit for the day?
I don't know if I'm the king or the jester of Reddit for the day, so we're out there though.
Fair enough. There's been plenty of upvotes. I was not watching live. Checked the Reddit this morning. I was like, oh, well, that's fun.
Yeah, that was fun. I've been told.
My favorite thing is that we're not getting specific. So anyone listening who didn't see it, you're just gonna have to go on a egg hunt, I guess, to try and find this. It'll be fun. But it's been a while since we've had you back on the show, Duncan. So much has happened, it feels like, since the last ITN that you were on. Mm-hmm. Man, Kyle, what all has happened? We have had Supportocalypse, as we were calling it. We had, Hanzo Land. We had all of the huge laning changes. Not to mention, over the weekend, a massive meltdown of performance-based MMR.
That's a lot. That is a lot.
It's been an interesting time in Heroes of the Storm. But
so, how much did you guys talk about the matchmaking stuff last week on the episode?
It hadn't really gone down yet. We knew by the end of we recorded a day earlier than we usually do last week, so we did it on Wednesday to make room because Star Wars happened on Thursday.
I remember we talked about that. Yeah.
So by the end of Wednesday's episode, the only thing we knew was that the next day they were thinking about resetting the placements. And then I was whisked away to Disney for the weekend, and I was just keeping up on Twitter in the apparently Saturday, the Saturday before Christmas is the busiest day of the year for Disney World. So while I was in 2-hour lines, I kept up on it via Twitter. And everyone losing their minds over the fact that ranks were getting reset again and so on and so forth. Everyone saying that this was the worst thing ever, which I found kind of amusing, especially in 2017, giving it a video game. But yeah, it's been interesting. Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's pretty much the top of the news for tonight, except for a certain other thing that kind of snuck into the Heroes scene today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But overall, man, I mean, how's it been treating you? How's Heroes been? Because it's been a little crazy for me.
Yeah, it has definitely been a wild ride. Like, the games have I'll go from one game having like 10 consistent GM master players in the game, and then the next game, like, I was just having people who were like way out of place, and even not trying. Like, the first couple of days I was looking at their profiles and stuff, but then I was like, okay, I'm going to stop looking at profiles. I don't want it like tarnishing my expectations for the game before going in. And then like, just definitely things were messed up. It was disastrous. It's a lot better now, but still, man, I'm getting a lot of one-sided games.
That's been the case for me as well. I had some funky placements. Kyle, did you end up having to? Everyone had to place twice, right? How did your second round go?
Right, the first round, I lost my first two and ended up back in Diamond 1 about 300 points ahead of where I would have been if nothing happened. But I had platinums in my games, doing some looking back on that, particularly a Mighty Gust Falstad that was a little less mighty than we would have hoped. Doing it the second time, however, I won my first 2 games and ended up at Masters 1000. So as far as I can tell, the early games are still crazy important. The first 2 or 3 of your placing and whatever momentum you had in the previous system seems to still be as important as it was earlier. But as of Friday, so we recorded Wednesday, we heard them doing some resets. They're going to give people another chance. It was messed up. Something was bugged in the seating. And come Friday, they just turned everything off. So we no longer have performance-based matchmaking in this game. We are just playing it like it was.
Right. There's nothing new now, basically. Well, other than all of the other changes that came in with how laning functions in this game. But that wasn't broken to begin with. It was just Hero League really that was having issues. So I got on the show last week and was like, hey, yeah, I know I had trouble last season, but I was a little surprised that in my first placement game I was thrown in with nothing but Silver League players. That was interesting. And then so got back after the weekend, after all the resets, jumped back in, and my first placement game was with a bunch of mid gold, which I was like, okay, that makes more sense. Lost the first game, and then it threw me all the way down to mid silver, and I was like, what the hell is going on? I went from a gold 3 placement, lost that game, into silver 3, went on like a 5-game winning streak, and it would not. After my second win, I was back to gold 3, but wins 4 and 5 didn't move me up at all, at least in the placed players I was with.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which seems to be the previous system. That's how we knew it. If you struggled all system, particularly if you spent the season just seesawing wildly between 2 and 3, 2 and 3, you're likely going to place lower. You have to have that energy behind you that keeps that ball rolling.
Yeah.
And if you get to a point in the system where you're like, I can't stop winning, I'm amazing, stop. Because the next season, that momentum will carry.
Wait, did you, Kyle Fergusson, the king of just hit play, tell the universe to just stop playing Hero League if you get on a win streak?
Oh man, that is self-control, and that is a gamification that I would be okay with. This whole thing has been fascinating this week, right? I mean, last time we had Dunk on, we were talking about how things get pretty crazy around placements, and then they settle in the mid-season when all the kind of core people are enjoying the game for the core game that it is.
Yeah.
And then the placements come again, and the end of the season changes happen, and everybody plows on in. And we know that people took multiple seasons off to quote unquote reset their seeded MMR. They show up in Blizzard's new system with Smurfs, decayed if there is decay, but at least old ass accounts that have been playing nothing but quick match for a long time. And then they want the system to be perfect. It's strange, and these two ideas don't marry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting out there for certain. But Dunk, it's interesting to hear you talk about it because one of our faithful community members who both Kyle and I play with a lot by the name of Gotti, I used to raid with him in WoW at the beginning of Legion, and then he just got super burnt out, went over to Heroes for the first time ever, and he's been Hero Leaguing now for like a season and a half. And after the reset, he just boom into Masters in a game against you.
Huh? Was he like, what rank was he before?
I think he got like Diamond 4 or 3 last season. I don't know for certain, but he came in, learned the mechanics real fast, did a great job, got into Diamond, and then this season made it into Masters, and then he was just like, all right, so I played against Dunk. I forget who else he played. I think it might have been McIntyre. He ended up in a game against a few of our Master League players. I think it was either Twammy or Nitty. And then I talked to him today. Oh, he was Plat 1. He's in the chat room. Okay. All right. So damn, dude, you jumped.
Oh, wow.
And then we talked today, and he's like, oh, dude, I went on a 6-game losing streak. I've never been so tilted in my life after that. So
did he get reset? Do you know?
Plat
1 to Masters, that should be a reset.
His master placement was after the reset.
No, he in the second, or I guess what was the third reset phase if you just kept going, but really the second big phase. And then they went through and said, we're going to go through, and anyone who moved more than five divisions, we're going to move them within that range. So he went from Masters to Diamond again when they did that fix.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Super funky.
And that's shocking, right? Like there's no way you're going to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
It is such a
super
huge
hard
jump.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would have expected them to put people a little closer, like not right at the 5 division thing, you know? Like they said they were moving anyone outside of 5 divisions different. I would have expected them to move them to like halfway to where they were or something, but putting them back down just to Diamond, like that's still like that's a huge difference. And those games are going to be, I think, really, really tough.
And some people got straight up placed back where they finished the last season if it was really bugged, regardless of which way they went. And I think if you went negative, they made that up for you as well. So you kind of got off scot-free if you had a bad time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's an important conversation to have. Like these leagues have their own personalities, and there's a very big difference between even fighting, Master Dahaka running at you and then Talking Trees comes out of a bush. Yeah. And that's a little different.
Yeah, you had an experience with that this week, didn't you?
3 experiences.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, man. We were battling it out. I've been having a blast, though. I mean, I'm Uther Greymane to the walls and back and just having a blast.
Yeah.
Still can't get you off that Uther, can we?
No, but it's a late pick. I'm making sure there's, a divine shield target, and I just love Holy Shock so darn much. And we often need a bruiser, and it just fits so well. And it's so good. Oh my God, Masters players, you don't have to type to them. Like there's some great things happening. Like when I die, everyone is like, heck yeah, let's do it. And I love it. And when I get 20, everyone just assumes I'm gonna res because I'm not a fool.
Yeah.
And I'll face check a bush and just completely get wrecked. And everyone's like, heck yeah. He's going to res right back up. We're going to have infinite heals during that time. And we just plow forward. Whereas when we were doing that, with the plat placement last season, that was a very rhythmic, practically had the Word document that I was pasting my level talent tiers.
Tech support, yeah.
You just got a notepad open that you Control A, Control C, Control V into text.
I actually haven't done that since Tyrael. When Tyrael and Greymane were in the meta together, I would type about the Ghost Shield at the start of the game and then alert people per, I think, 7, 13, 16 as to what I was doing. Because I was tanking different. We had that crazy, crazy attack speed reduction if I was getting hit. So you would suddenly at 13 just start driving around in random places so people would hit you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never really talked to my teammates. Maybe that's a mistake.
I don't really say too much either. I don't know, unless there's lately I've ended up on games with so many squishies, and I'm tanking, and I'm like the only tank, so I have to tell them, hey guys, only so much I can do. If you're ahead of me, you're probably going to die. That's about it. That's about it. But guys, I've had the strangest week. So I was telling you about the placements. And it's at early on in the placements, all the way down to silver. My games in silver, 100% better than my games in gold. Once I got back to gold, it was so weird. This in Silver League, I had like 2 games with all Silver League teammates, and they actually stopped fighting and would go back to laning and take mercenaries and go for the objective. The second I got back into gold, everyone just continues to fight constantly, no matter how much mana is left, no matter how much life you have, or how close to the tower you are.
Huh.
It's
interesting.
It was very weird.
It would be really cool actually to like be able to spectate like a handful of like bronze, silver, gold, plat games to like try and watch the differences in how they play and like see if there's certain patterns to each league,
Well, dude, if you want some replays, I got you.
And there are some similarities. Something that gets said in your chat as well as mine when we're streaming is, these look like my Silver League games. Mm-hmm. And my heart skips a little bit. And I'm like, well, there's a big difference. The main key thing that's happening is when Kerrigan's choosing her engaged target. Let's say Kerrigan wants to target Chen. It's the only thing in lane, but everyone in the chat is going, Kerrigan's targeting Chen. What a fool! But it's the only thing to target. She's going to assassinate something. In silver, they do the ravage, the jump at the Chen where he's standing. In higher leagues, they wait for the Chen to do the kick and then readjust her position to that, riding in first and using the movement after that. So there's this perception that like everything is stupid, but the inner workings are actually very clean. The surface is stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been weird. I think I'm back to just picking Sonya at the moment.
Nothing wrong with that.
Just seems to be getting work done because I'm still not quite on board with most of the plans that seem to be unfolding in my draft, so I'm just kind of bullying onto Sonya, even if it doesn't make sense for the comp, but it appears to be working out just fine.
Sonya always makes sense for the comp. That's the thing. Do you have a healer? If yes, you're good to go Sonya.
One of those games, it was a game.
If you don't have a support, not a bad pick, Sonya.
One of my games today was no support chicken, where I'm hovering that Sonya. No, it's like the last two picks. The other dude is not on a healer. And I'm just like, I'm doing it. You're gonna have to deal, man. You're gonna have to deal. I'm gonna be that jerk. So, it's been strange. But let's get into this week's hero news and kind of talk about this stuff point by point.
Let's liven up this place!
Put me to the stage.
Click the play button, and let's get started.
All right, so let's start with some light fanfare. The firebat has finally been officially announced as of today via pseudo live-action Heroes commercial.
Yeah. Dude, I'm so excited for firebat. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I want to see the kit, but yeah, as a StarCraft fan, I want it. I want it so bad. And this, let's be honest, extremely stupid commercial was perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. It was just, hey, you guys remember those StarCraft emote lines? Well, here's an entire commercial making fun of them. It's all I needed.
Yeah, like the video was super cringy, but it was like good in that sense. I don't know. It was funny. I laughed at it.
Yeah, I did too. I was watching it and I was just like, ooh, yes. Although, what a jerk to Jaina. Firebat's not nice.
Yeah, she just wanted to build a snowman, man.
Yeah, so this is all we know, right? Like, I looked around. I couldn't find a kit anywhere, a gameplay video of any sort. It was just this teaser.
No, it did have the text, Blaze is a dual-wielding incinerator cannon warrior who excels at area effect damage and locking down an area of the battlefield. And lockdown, ooh, right? Like, that's the exciting word. Outside of what I think most video game nerds love, which is splash damage. I don't know why, but every time something's like, and it splashes, I'm like, oh, I can kill hordes. It's amazing. I'm thinking of, you're going up to the lane, and we saw Zarya coming out, and we're like, ooh, can I clear a lane? And no. No, go and expose yourself to the archer line and try to do a straight line. It's about the lamest thing you've ever done on your Earth. But Firebat, he might have some lane clear, and then if this is control, that's a good kit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel
want
like
them to keep the voice lines, man. I need my nostalgia. Like, I just put the Brood voice lines in. Like, you don't need to record new voice lines. It's fine.
Now you're making me wish that they, instead of, I know we're going to get a 3D model. I kind of just want Brood War Sprite.
A Sprite?
Just a Sprite.
Dude, yes, alternative skin.
Oh, that'd be great. Or at the very least, give all of our StarCraft heroes just pixelated skins at the very least. Where they
that could actually be really cool.
Big chunky paint jobs. That'd be great. Some retro stuff going on. I'd love that. Yeah, they've already named him Blaze. They gave him a name. Don't make it a character. Don't get cute with this. Just give us the exact Firebat from freaking StarCraft, please.
Please, yeah.
He also doesn't have a rank like Morales or Hammer. They all got positions in the army.
Huh. I didn't notice that, actually.
I'd like to assume because of the insanity level of some of the pissed emotes on Firebats that they're all mercenaries. I don't think these guys actually attended a military academy anywhere. But we'll have to we'll have to see. I think they're to me this is as much of a 180 from Hanzo as you could have possibly made. I'm just like, hey, here's your shiny new Overwatch Archer that everybody hates. Oh, I can't stand it. Oh, it's all right. It's all right, old school Blizzard fanboys. Here's a rusty bucket of fire from StarCraft. Enjoy.
Everyone's like, yay!
Yes, that's what I want. That's my Blizzard, damn it.
It does fit that, though. Like, it's a really good time. People have been romanticizing old Debro memes, and Firebat feels like one of his old creations, one of those we heard about forever ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, I'm like, now that I'm thinking about it, I can't believe it. It's taken this long to get a Firebat as a hero. It's so iconic.
I mean, there's just so many iconic Blizzard things. Like, the next 50 heroes they make, you could be like, oh my gosh, how did we not have Mephisto yet? How do we not have Bale? Like, there's just so many things you're like, oh, how do we live without this?
I will say that I'm pretty sure a year ago I asked, how the hell don't we have a Warcraft map yet? And here I am another year later saying, how the hell don't we have a Warcraft map yet?
I mean, we still don't have Deckard Cain announcer, which would just be fantastic. I want loot boxes to have like different mice, like a cut-off orc hand. There's so many ways to play with it.
Oh, different mouse cursors. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, we should have that.
That would be weird, I feel like, to play with. I think that would actually be hard to get used to.
I think
Probably.
I think it would be, but I also kind of want it. Give me the Warcraft 3 cursor, give me the StarCraft 2 cursor, give me the StarCraft 1 cursor. Just throw them all in there.
Did you guys ever used to play around with those programs that actually changed your cursor? And you could get like crazy cursors that did like rainbows and patterns and stuff?
We talking back like in the 90s, like Hamster Dance and Dragon Ball Z gift days? Yeah. Yeah. That was
those were awesome.
Yeah, they were great, and they made your system chug like crazy if you got the one that ghosted, that left the trail of mouse cursors.
I love that one. Turn on that thing after I got my Voodoo 3 card. That thing rocked.
Oh my god! All the while,
play me some Indiana Jones Infernal Machine.
All the while, you're praying nobody calls the house while you're playing the original Counter-Strike because it'll knock you off the 56K modem.
Good stuff. Kids don't know.
You have no idea. Damn children, get off my lawn. All right, let's talk about the performance-based MMR. It's as we already mentioned, it's gone. It is out of the game entirely. Blizzard did say that even though that the issues that they encountered in Hero League was unrelated to the performance-based matchmaking improvements, that they're just taking it out for now to expect it to return, but they just want to make sure everything is ironed out. And Alan DeBeery even went over on the Reddit and gave a heartfelt apology in the style of every other video game studio this year, basically apologizing, saying that, there's really no excuse. We need to do better. And Alan DeBeery says he takes full responsibility for this. I don't know, probably a little biased since I do a show about this one specific game, but I would say I think especially in 2017, this is pretty low on the scandal scale. Like, they're apologizing for trying something new to try and improve the game versus, I don't know, EA just trying to make a bunch of extra money and also releasing a crappy game.
Yeah. I mean, it's so unfortunate that the release of the performance-based matchmaking rating system coincided with like the gameplay changes, stealth rework, and the ranked system messing up, because I wanted the system to be good, and I really think it would have helped a lot of people reach their ranks more quickly, even if after using it I don't think it was appropriate for the top tier players. But the fact that so many things went wrong at the same time was just feels bad, man, because I know they put so much effort into that system.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, do you think it was, even if it had worked, do you think it was too much in one patch?
Yeah, I think so. Especially right before the holidays. I don't know, man. Maybe don't start the new season right when you put out the changes or something. You're doing all these laning changes, stealth reworks. Maybe you hold off the season start or something for 2 weeks, and then everyone gets a chance to acclimate to the changes. I don't know.
Maybe.
Or do you like it?
You got to play enough during the actual performance-based MMR sector. I placed in that was the end of my streaming for the week, so I didn't continue. And then reset 1 happens, reset 2 happens.
Yeah.
What feedback did you receive? Like, what did the numbers look like? What's a score at the end of a match?
Okay, so normal matches are like roughly 200 points plus or minus, and then like generally favored, I don't know, I see favored generally within -10 to +10 ranges. Like if I ever see a favored or unfavored outside of that, I was really surprised. But then for the performance-based matchmaking rating, we were seeing such high numbers that I brought up that old 50 DKP minus meme video. I don't know if you guys remember that from WoW, the Nexus one, the raid leader.
Oh, do I
You
remember?
don't know what to do.
Yeah, I played that on my stream and got a 50 DKP minus emote made. You guys can see in your chat, like, because that's how crazy the system was being for Grandmaster players. Like, I think I started really like being against its current execution when I had 2 games back to back. One game I was playing Varian, absolutely doing my best I could, but we ended up losing the game. It was a tough Warhead Junction game. They like ended with a boss. I did everything I felt like I could reasonably, and I got -40. And then the next game I played Ana, who personally I think I'm pretty good at, and we crushed this game. I got -40 again. And then I played a Brightwing game where I contributed like almost nothing and got +50. So I was like, I mean, I was skeptical going in, but hopeful for the system. But then after those games, I was like, look, man, I'm willing to accept that like the machine learning stuff, the statistics, it generally will be right. But there's just no way that these are like acceptable values in terms of like how high magnitude they are. I mean, up to 50 points is crazy. You know, that's 25% of a game, of a win or loss. So I was definitely not a fan of it after a couple days, at least at Master and above, man.
Did you say you lost that Ana game you were referencing? Or you won it?
What?
You won that Ana game you were talking about?
Yeah, I won an Ana game and lost 40 points for it. Like,
wow.
Performance-based wise.
Huh. Okay.
But some of that, there was also some speculation that the system was kind of messed up because it didn't recalibrate after the support nerf, and it didn't recalibrate after the stealth buff. So, like, stealthies were getting free +20. Basically, no matter your performance, it felt like you could easily get +20 on Valera or Nova every single game. And then, like, all supports, it felt like even pro support players were getting, like, -10, -15, -20 really frequently. Even Bakery was talking about it. So there definitely were some issues with it coming out at the time with a huge patch, I think, even if the system would have worked well for most players.
Right. The biggest shame is that bug that just took masters and silvers and just mixed them all up and made games out of it. But that without any feedback as to what you could have improved. And even if they were saying, oh, you crushed it so hard, your 10 minutes is not worth half an hour's of points. You know, that's fair too, but simply don't let us know. Don't tell me that.
Yeah, it definitely, the implementation, it felt like the report card system was completely missing. Like, the not getting any feedback on what you did well or did poorly was so incongruent with, like, I finished a game, and then here's the major misconception, is people would finish their game, and they'd look at their performance-based matchmaking rating adjustment, and they'd be like, what the heck, I lost 20 points that game, but I topped damage, and I got MVP and stuff. And, like, it's really deceptive because you're not being graded against the other people in your game. You're being graded against other people playing the same hero as you, at the same rank as you, on the same map. So, like, the stats in your game don't necessarily line up with what the performance-based matchmaking rating system sees as the important stats or how everyone's performing. But there was no way to tell that, so it felt really bad.
That is just a huge bummer for those who, particularly in the top end, that play this game, dedicate themselves to it. I also heard anecdotally that you did much better as a high-end player farming stats, but that's not what you do. You anchor, you zone, you stand in the bush to avoid a fight in the first place rather than throwing your face in the bush, then face melting and power sliding away.
Yeah, totally.
And that would earn you more points, and so I guess they just had to can the whole thing. I mean, the scary question I have for both of you is this too much? Is this irreversible damage? Was this the string of hope that people were ready to grab onto and it broke and now they're out?
It's definitely bad from a PR perspective. Like if you're thinking about PR for performance-based MMR, Yeah, I think a lot of people have already made up their mind about it. I haven't. I'm not saying I have. I'm just speaking generally. I think from the pushback I saw against this and the anger I saw while standing in line at Disney, the happiest place in the world, people losing their minds at me on Twitter because I was like, guys, come on, it's not that bad. Let's all calm down.
Yeah.
Yes, it's bad, but it's not like they're actively trying to ruin their game. I think a lot of folks, when this gets re-implemented, I mean, the memes are going to come out hard, and I think there's going to be a lot of unrest. So if and when they reintroduce this, it better be working correctly. I hope they address some of what you talked about, Dunk. I hope they give us, like you said, a report card. Give us explain why we're given the points that we're given.
Yeah, I agree. I think if I were going to re-implement it like tomorrow or whatever, I think the changes that are absolutely necessary are the report card. I think like a sort of diminishing value on the system. So like the more games you play, the less performance-based matchmaking rating can adjust your matchmaking rating after each game. So like somebody who plays 50 games in a season, they need the performance-based matchmaking rating system to move them a lot, to get them to their ideal rating every season, right? That just makes sense. You don't play that many games. It should be a lot of value to you. But like for masters and GMs who grind hundreds and hundreds of games a season, they don't need the performance-based matchmaking rating system at all, honestly, because when like the reason you use the system is to accelerate when people get to where they belong. And after that, you don't really want the system moving them. You want their natural win-loss rate moving them. So I think you disable it for Diamond 1+ or whatever and let the master grind be like straight up win-loss points so it feels fair at the top end of the ladder, because I think the system legitimately can help people who play a small number of games or place late in the season or whatever find where they belong from the lower ranks, you know?
So you're saying basically do what Overwatch just did. They just turned off
absolutely
performance-based MMR for Diamond and above.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting. I guess then on an Overwatch show this week, and we got to that topic, and they're like, "What do you think of this, Garrett?" I'm like, "I don't know. Like I'm having the same conversation in reverse from my hero show." But yeah,
man.
No, I mean you bring up a good point that you should at the end of the day, what the system's trying to achieve, it should be tailored towards players that play a smaller amount of games, and it's probably not that important.
It kind of sounds like they made that. They just didn't let the top end know because you play 200 games a season, you'll move real slow. No worries. It's like no. We all wanted the benefits.
Right, exactly. So I mean, whatever the case is, we don't need to worry about it right now. That's a good. I'm glad you asked that question, though, Kyle, because that's where my head was going as well. It's like, oh man, I think they kind of burn it past repair, I think, in the goodwill to the community section.
Yeah,
but
it might be just, on fire at this point. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's a shame it had to coincide with the toxicity witch hunt that happened this week as well.
Oof. I actually think it had a lot to do with it, honestly. Like, I think, for me personally, like the performance-based matchmaking rating system was a big target. It was a big, easy target for me to like meme about and complain about that coincided with the rank problems. And like, I mean, when you play the game, 6, 8, 10 hours a day, and your games are like wildly varying in quality because of rank upsets, and you have this extra system thrown on that's like really obvious and easy to make fun of, it's just like a big, I don't know, melting pot of disaster in the form of like how tilted streamers got and stuff, man. And I was the same.
Well, and we're, speaking, just off the cuff, being like, oh, I don't like what X is doing. Oh, Zul'jin's positioning. And they're not, mean comments. The funny thing is that it sort of stirred that rank pot and people ended up playing alongside pros who were noticing these things, were, masters and seeing. And so they started this kind of causality view where everybody who did something wrong. I misclicked a cleanse this week, and the guy lost his mind. Nothing was going to happen for a whole minute. It wasn't tragic, but he was like, "What the heck was that, Rhaegar?" Because he was looking. His eyes were ready to find something wrong in the system.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is about what I saw on the Reddit kind of, the pros were toxic to me is they were toxic correctly. They mentioned that you took a late game talent on a short game map. I feel bad for those in lower leagues who have toxicity because you're being blasted with stuff that ain't true. But at least if someone's getting mad at me in Masters now, it's likely correct, and I can learn from it.
I got I did a last second like panic switch to Jaina when we already had a mage on the team. Oh man. Woo! The Caps. We won that game, by the way. I would like to point out that my elemental murdered some fools dead. But it was I had to just be like, guys, it's fine, it's okay. Yeah. We can make this work.
That's one of mine right now is why I'm laughing. Elemental, man. I'm like, no, not Elemental.
Yeah. Oh, I love Elemental, man.
Elemental's great.
Some people do, and
yeah, I love it.
Hey, Kyle, what'd you say last week about why you take Gargantua over Ravenous Spirit? What'd you say? Don't worry, I'll answer this question for you. You said I like it because it sticks around when I'm dead.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
And we all have like what is yours? Like what's yours right now, Garrett? What is completely regardless of win rate or actual fact?
What tilts me?
What gets drafted that makes you go no?
Diablo, what are you doing? Stop taking Diablo. Diablo just dies. Stop taking Diablo.
Decision-based silver engages are probably difficult.
You just don't have the heals. You know what people do? You know what?
Man does not recover fast.
This isn't even like league shaming. You know what most folks do when things are weird and you don't know what to do? You just attack whatever's closest to you. If it's Diablo, it's gonna die.
Wow. Do people not take Devil's Due at your rank?
No, they do. It just doesn't matter.
Oh.
You don't have the heals to survive that when 5 people are all attacking the dragon.
Huh.
The thing I noticed the most in lower leagues with Diablo is nobody drafts accompanying dive. So Diablo goes in, there's no choice as to what to kill.
Yeah.
And Diablo explodes.
I noticed that a lot too, like with the uptick in Valera play as a result of her buffs, at least at GM, like I was actually playing a game against Valera today, and I noticed the enemy team drafted like a Stitches comp that had a random Valera, and like the Valera would go in and would have just no backup pressure whatsoever on our team, and like if the Stitches misses his hook, that means their engage is completely ruined. Like they lose the fight because their Valera tried to engage while their Stitches tried to play back pull style, like totally like 2 different game plans, you know?
Well, and I don't know if that's the matchmaker being snowbally or if we just have reached a pinnacle of weirdness in our hero pool that it is very easy to ruin the draft. Because I had the same thing happen this week. Like someone went Kel'Thuzad and I'm like, okay, we'll see what happens. And then someone went Alarak and you're like, they went double wacky. It's over.
Yeah.
That's too much displacement. You only get one. You only get one Hanzo. You don't get Hanzo and Valera. The reliability of what you're trying to connect just isn't there anymore.
Yeah, I actually talk about that a lot on my stream, but I think a lot of people don't really make that connection between like how important it is to have like a pressure style character that can consistently get value, and then you're like, oh, I'm fishing for the big moment character. And if you have 2 characters who are both fishing for the big moment, it's so hard for your team to like control space and stuff.
Yeah. I had an interesting run-in with my more recent tilt pick of an Asmodan, Kyle. I had a game where I made a friend with an Asmodan.
Ooh, congratulations. On your team?
On my team, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so draft happens. I pick Zagara. The guy hovering Asmodan swaps over to Dahak, and I'm like, cool, we're good. He switches back to Asmodan, locks it in, and I'm like, no. Why? Why are you doing? We don't need this. This is too much. That dude just kept throwing generals in my lane all game long. We were 3 levels ahead the entire game. It was disgusting. And then I ended up in the next game with the same dude, and he's just like, hey, you that Garrett on Zagara? I'm like, oh, are you Asmo? He's like, yeah, man. I'm like, dude, that was just a specialist dream. It was amazing. Yeah, so we made friends.
I've also changed my tone. Being in Masters now, Kharazim's are great. I like Kharazim. He's responsive. He punches things. He accompanies Diablo like we were just talking about. But first pick Ariel. First pick Ariel is my nightmare. And they're good. They're so good. They're whipping things. They're aware. They see the stealthies. Their sweeps are solid. But I think they missed out on the change where they don't get any real energy from non-heroes anymore because they're just farming those lanes, attacking them as hard as they can, and then they turn around and they're like a little poof on Navala. I think they were expecting more or something.
For me, the nightmare is Sylvanas' first pick. I'm seeing so much Sylvanas in my games now, and it's like, oh man, it's so win more. I hate it. Like, I just want to play a game that's decided throughout the game, not like on the first objective.
Oh, that's interesting. So she literally wins you to tears.
Well, like, no, she doesn't win that much, I feel like. I feel like Sylvanas doesn't have that high of a win rate, but people think she's busted because, like, the games she does win are like, oh my god, Sylvanas was so broken here.
Yeah, you're
That's
making
true,
you're making like a card game reference with your win more, right? What you're saying is you would have won that game anyway, regardless of what hero the Sylvanas actually was.
Whoa!
Yeah, but
you
it
need
looks
to watch
like the
my
Sylvanas
Cthulhu, I
did
made
all the
it
work.
big.
You need to watch my Cthulhu and I made it big. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, you gotta sit around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm a huge Sylvanas fan, and I gotta say I agree with you. With the new laning changes, like I was going into this, I knew it was coming, and you both heard me over and over again say I think it's a specialist time again. I think it is, and I think it is. I just don't think it's Sylvanas's. I think you're better off with almost any other specialist.
I 100% agree. Like, right now, the thing is, I feel like a Zagara or an Asmodan will map pressure and will actually get you ahead, and then you can leverage that into a victory, whereas a Sylvanas is like, hey guys, I'm here. I hope we get ahead. I'm not really contributing, but if we do get ahead, oh yeah. Like, you know, it doesn't contribute to that first win, which I find like really frustrating.
Yeah. I still like playing her for fun, but I have not been picking her in Hero League, and I've actually had a chance to take her a couple of times. Not much. She's still getting banned like crazy. I think that's part of what's kind of perpetuating the desire to play Sylvanas. That I don't know what's happening up in your league, Dunk, but in my games lately, it's Sylvanas banned like every game, not even map dependent. It's been weird, whatever the case is. But yeah, Zagara and Asmodan, I'm coming around on Asmo as a lifelong Zagara main. I'm having a great time right now. And Zebo's never really been bad, and he's still real good. I'm liking the Zebes.
I will say one of the strangest things about Masters, you got to get used to board auto attackers. Like, they all used to be Vala. Maybe that's why I get Grey main so often, because they're just bored out of their minds. They used to take Zul'jin. Now they're picking Raynor. I've had a lot of Raynors in my game, who I'm pretty sure are just bored Valas.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, you can only play Valas so many games back to back.
To be fair, though, with the ETC being picked up everywhere, I really like Raynor in that regard.
I don't think he's as bad as people give him hate for, you know? But he's still not good. Don't get me wrong.
I only saw one Raynor this week, and it put me into full-on heart attack. Actually, I think it was my first placement game, and that's what sent me down into silver. But no, I'm with you on the Raynor. There's nothing I like more than a good Raynor. It's like, especially you put it in the hands of a skilled player that just can stutter step for days. Oh, there's nothing. It's like a figure skater. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's so satisfying too, just hearing those rifle sounds, like as you watch him stutter step, and you know he's gonna get the kill.
Yep.
Oh
yeah. Plus, for me, Raynor was when I started kind of getting good at this game. Raynor taught me the basics of standing and learning when to stand and fight, learning when to just deliver damage, and just getting it in and kind of just learning how to run the board with sustained damage. So yeah, every time I'm with you, I hear that burst machine gun crack, and I feel good, man.
Though I still wish we could go back to beta where the bullets didn't show in the air and nobody had any idea who you were attacking.
How you were getting damaged.
Oh, it was
You're
so
like, oh my
neat.
gosh.
It was
I just
so
lost all my
sneaky.
health. Yeah,
Yep.
that was like, think about how weird of a concept that is. Like, just the character not having an auto attack projectile would be like a huge buff.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's a huge buff to a character. It makes it so much harder to pay attention to what they're doing. And like little things like that can make or break characters, like, you know, +1 range, -1 range, all those little things that you don't ever really think about.
Well, that was our original mains, Kyle. Remember, it was Raynor, and then eventually we both ended up on Tychus. And Raynor, it was you couldn't see his damn bullets, and Tychus, and it still is the case. You really can't tell when he activates his D trait. Like, it is really subtle. And back then it was, and it's starting to come back, but that was double tank days. You just trait everyone to death and just run away with the damage numbers. So yeah, subtle abilities that could be a huge buff. That's what I want to see them start adding, those type of visual changes into the actual buffs and not under visual changes.
Yeah.
Make that his new D.
Speaking of which, let's talk about the bounce patch that went up this week, and let's kick it off with obviously the angry Orc Nazi in the room, Garrosh.
Born again.
What?
He's born again, man.
He's born again?
Yeah. Everyone's like, death to Garrosh. It's over. Finally, the oppression. No, the oppression has only begun.
Yeah, you just use your abilities in a different order.
And people can play him and actually get good at him again, and rather than being like, is this right? I actually got a hold of Garrosh last week, and I'm like, do we want the Garrosh? And they're like, yeah, man, he's broken. And then they gave me an Ariel Chromie to toss back into. So I...
Nice.
All
Standard.
Right. Well, so his health is up. His health regen's up. The big thing is Groundbreaker. It no longer pulls enemies to Garrosh. How it works now, if you haven't already heard, is it knocks enemy heroes in the air, and it stuns them for 3/4 of a second, and then after that they are slowed by 30% for 2 seconds. So what everyone is doing now is Wrecking Ball first, Groundbreaker second.
Oh, I haven't seen that, actually.
I haven't seen it in my games, but I've been reading about it and hearing about it from friends.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just seeing Groundbreaker use whenever the heck you want. Maybe you'll get a snag and a slow, but it's really about Wrecking Ball's reduced cooldown, which left every mouthfeel in the world just the saltiest thing on earth yesterday. They activate the Tormented Souls, and they go in on Garrosh, and they think to themselves, well, Garrosh combo dependent, right? So he's already tried to get his combo. He's clearly missed. That's why I'm engaging. So they Torment Souls, and start hovering in, and Garrosh just throws them into the timeout corner. And this is after they've engaged with their Wraith Strike, so they have no way to get back to it. It's Peel. Like, Garrosh has legit maybe solo tanking ability, since he's holding on to this thing now rather than just going sweet combo style.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about that a lot. I loved Garrosh out the gate, but it felt good. It definitely felt broken, but at the same time, I'm like, I have so much health and I'm so survivable. I feel like I should be saving these abilities for when I should be using them, as opposed to just fishing, nope, fishing, nope, fishing, kill, yay. Now you move around the field like a tank. You're more of an Arthas in the way that you just kind of lumber around, and your team has to walk with you. But also, like Arthas pairing with a Lucio, and it's the scariest damn thing on earth.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm torn. At high rank, I haven't seen Garrosh be very effective with the changes, but I'm not convinced he's really bad. I just think he's different. But I think this is definitely a nerf overall.
Yeah, I only saw one Garrosh in my Hero League games this week. It was on the enemy team, and they kept leading with Groundbreaker, and it's like, okay, cool. I'm stunned. I'm walking away now.
Yeah. I definitely think, like, for how hard it is to land Groundbreaker, it didn't get enough CC. Like, it feels like even if you hit the Q on them, you're not really rewarded. Like, a 0.75 second CC isn't that much for a tank. Like, think about Diablo wall charge is like 1.5. Muradin stun, ETC slide, they're all, 1 second or longer. It just doesn't feel like you actually have opportunity to make plays off of a Groundbreaker stun landing.
What do you think of, it was one of the most top voted damn things on the subreddit today, which was, I think it was user Toff's YouTube posted that you use the Wrecking Ball, use the Groundbreaker, and then you taunt them afterwards, and it is in essence one of the longest stuns.
I think it's a really magical Christmas land way to look at how you play Garrosh. If you had any tank and they are allowed to just walk into melee range of a kill target, that kill target should die. Think about any tank, and if they get to walk in melee range without using a gap closer, then the Vala or the Greymane or even a random bruiser like a Thrall or a Rack, that target's dead. Garrosh isn't doing something special when he's doing this combo. That's just the enemy being out of position and their tank's not properly controlling space against the Garrosh. Because you can't kill a tank with that combo, realistically. I mean, maybe you could, depending on how far his team is back or whatever. But it's not
first thing that
it's not as OP as it sounds, in my opinion.
The first few things that pop into my head are more ornaments on your magical Christmas land. So I'm like, oh, you take a Bright Wing and you polymorph the Artanis, and then the Artanis can't get his shields and he dies.
Yeah, get super cute. Throw a Brain of Destruction in there.
Yeah.
Pretty
much.
As I feel like you end up having to say on almost every time you come on the show, Dunk, is let's not get too crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely simplicity is the key for Hero League. Like, this combo is way too hard to execute for the return on investment. Like, I would stay away from trying to play this way. I do think there's a lot of value in Garrosh still potentially on like BOE, throwing people into the Immortal Stun seems like value. And I think like playing Garrosh kind of as that frontliner and not going for like the big engage combos as much and more so controlling space like an Arthas is probably the way to go. But you're probably just better off playing Arthas then, honestly, is the thing, in my opinion.
I will never feel bad about hearing those words.
Yeah. Arthas is good right now, man.
I had a game today where I was just like, oh crap, I got a tank. Oh crap, they took the tanks I wanted. I think this is an Arthas pick. And everyone else was like, yeah, I think it's an Arthas pick, and it worked really well. All right, well, I mean, you bring up a good point that his abilities, even when you're not trying to land some type of delete play, they manipulate the battlefield very well. I mean, just using Groundbreaker just to kind of keep the enemy team at bay, it's a solid tool. But it's interesting.
Yeah, ultimately, I think his lane clear is going to be too low, and his solo damage is so low that his win rate will always be thrown off by lower leagues. And I'm excited to see like what a Garrosh main can do. But you're right. Why not just Arthas for us, and then we have less confusion because you're rooting them rather than displacing them.
And you don't need to worry about a lack of damage or lack of lane clear.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Solo lane Garrosh. Get it done, right?
That's almost as bad as solo lane Ana.
Oh, man.
At least that sounds fun.
At least Ana, I feel cooler because I'm like, pew, 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 and I'm watching my poison stacks.
Right, you got a minigun. You're stacking. You're making sure everyone's got their drinks topped off.
On Garrosh, it literally feels like when I worked in a kitchen and I was the last one left sweeping up at the end of the night. I'm just like, oh, God, I want to go home.
Yeah, you were yelling to yourself then, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Every sweep, ha!
Yes, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, God, my Lord, this show has already gone long. So I'll throw to you, gentlemen. What other changes would you like to highlight? I don't think we actually have time to go hero by hero.
Let's talk about Thrall, because that's interesting because Sonya is dominating the solo lane. They're pushing Thrall up a little bit with some basic attack damage, which of course affects his Wind Fury, and he got a better Spirit Shield, or cooldown reduction on it, so he has it more often, which is really helpful in a sort of bursty, divey meta.
Yeah, I don't know if these changes are enough, though, for me to want to have Thralls on my team, man. I feel like every time I see a Thrall, like, even sometimes they play well, and I'm just like, man, if you had played that well at another hero, I feel like you would have been rewarded more. Not even just the Sonya, who I think is definitely an outlier, but like a lot of times I would rather have another tank like an Arthas in that spot, or a Dahaka, or even like an Artanis or something. I just feel like Thrall is almost always a liability for his team. Not because he's necessarily bad, but it just seems so easy for him to get picked off.
Well, that's true. If you get him out of rhythm, if he gets stunned, he's just dead like a Butcher without a brand. And Butcher made his decision in the distance once the Alarak did his cooldowns, but Thrall was in the thick of it the whole time and kind of get some bad luck thrown his way.
It's even more telegraphed, right? Because the enemy sees you the entire time. It's not a bush surprise like the Butcher. That's a good point, Kyle. I hadn't really thought of that aspect, but yeah, I was curious about that. I'm glad you pointed that at the one, Kyle. Although when you pointed to it, I was like, I don't know. I saw this change and didn't think it was that exciting. But
Wind Fury makes it exciting when you mess with the auto attack speed, like Zul'jin, or auto attack damage.
Yeah, it does. I mean, Thrall used to be one of my most played heroes. I still think it's in recent memory, we don't have Master Skins anymore, but I think that might have been the last hero that I went and got the Master Skin like nonstop from when he released. That might have been the last time I just like went hard on a new hero.
Yeah.
But
what is Artanis got buffed too. He got his Chrono Surge attack speed increase from 50 to 75% when he picks a talent for it. That's kind of cute because you do these big long swaps and you get attack speed after you land the swap.
Mm-hmm.
So previously you would land these big swaps and then kind of use your dash to maybe recover to your previous position on the target you swapped. But now attack speed might mean you stay in where you're embedded, get shields, and then your team catches up to you after murdering the guy you swapped. Is that like where does Artanis land? He seems great in maybe Plat, and then it ends there.
I think Artanis, because of the nature of his survivability being based on how many auto attacks you can get off, like he really suffers against strong focus fire, which is something I think people don't generally take into account when they draft him. So that's why sometimes he's like insanely good, and then sometimes he's really bad. And I don't think people really make the connection that like against slow damage, that's not really focused damage. Like Artanis is so good, and I think these buffs, I mean, they're definitely to like less used talent, so I'm not sure that they're like as big as they look. Considering you almost always go follow through at 7, you'd have to give that up for Chrono Surge, which maybe it's worth it now. It could actually be worth it for the like spike in damage that you get off of it, but Artanis is secretly really good, I think.
Wait, I thought we all hated follow through.
On Artanis?
Oh, so just Artanis. I mean, I know Tyrael's got one, and that's madness to select.
Yeah, no. Just Artanis. I think it's just got so much synergy with his W. Like, you don't have to think about it. You're getting a lot of follow-through value no matter what you do.
Because you're already going to auto-attack them, and you activate a spell that auto-attacks.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I looked at this Chrono Surge change and thought that maybe they were just trying to promote short-range swaps. Because, I mean, Kyle, you talked about your example you gave seemed like it was for a long-range swap. I mean, what if you just swap the person who you're already hitting and get yourself that attack speed increase?
Artanis is a monster when you're like 1v1ing in a lane or something, and you're trying to get to your gate, and he just did that short-range swap that puts him right in front of you to body block and get more autos.
Yep.
Ooh,
and now
he's crush a trade like that. So
yeah, now he's attacking even faster. I mean, yeah. In a 1v1 environment, that seems good. In a team fight environment, that kind of sounds like we're retreading the same ground as Garrosh. It's like, well, who are you swapping that close? That's the right thing to be putting in your back line.
I mean, you can just hit tanks on Artanis. That's one of the upsides. Is like, especially once if you go for the giant killer, like at 16, you can just hit the tanks and melt them. So,
gotcha.
What about these support kind of mix-ups here? We got Lucio with a little bit of a nerf just on his amp it up healing, and Brightwing got a polymorph cooldown reduction. Lily getting a little pushed around too. In fact, I've been seeing her decently enough in my games.
I mean, Lily's win rates seem to be up kind of across the board with the stats available to us. I love this Cloud Serpent change because I can kind of almost notice health bars moving now with Cloud Serpents on people.
I think Lily is actually pretty good as like a secondary support. I still don't like her as primary support. Her healing is like just not reliably consistent enough if the enemy focuses. But I was definitely feeling like Lucio was the standout support on the current patch next to like Uther in some situations. So I really like that Lucio took a little bit of a hit. Lily needed some buffs, but the Brightwing change seemed completely random to me. I don't know about you guys, but Brightwing already felt great, and that one I was kind of like, huh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're wanting to encourage Brightwing as the counter pick for something Illidan Malthael related when we have a lot of maybe Anubarax and Stitches and maybe even Garrosh peels. I understand like why it's here and what they're trying to influence, because she's losing her place as that dive control to other people. And in my mind, certainly Lucio's beat drop where you can go, can we cocoon this, or can we massive shove this? Nah, let's just survive all the Malthael damage and just come out the other side fine. That's easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I like Brightwing, so I was kind of just like, oh, this is cool. I don't know why this landed. I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah. Just a nice little random buff.
Yeah. So
Nova is terrorizing the folk with her brand new 56% win rate, and she received a little bit of a nerf.
Don't think it mattered. It was it's feeling like to me like the poison spear change. No one cares. They're still taking it and still winning.
Yeah, I think I think Nova was really busted, and now she's still pretty busted. Like, she's just so deadly right now.
I cannot tell which one is the decoy, and it's driving me up a wall.
It's not bad, and the Ghost Protocol sends one kind of running in the direction she's going. She can weasel away pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the ability they gave her by default to spawn a clone and instant cloak is like, it adds so much to your like squirreliness. I don't know, like your ability to kind of like make jukes and stuff. So even though your stealth is worse, like in actual team fights, you can block skill shots with it. Like you can just kind of evade detection for a second. I mean, it's so powerful of a tool to just give.
Now, for me, I mean, where do you land on that, Dunk? Because to me, that's what I like. That's what I think is a success, and I kind of want to see stick around. I'm not sure that's what I want them to mess with, but I kind of want them to continue dialing back her lethality.
Yeah, I think Nova's just one of those older hero designs who, like, she's just either never going to be good or always stomp quick match. And, like, I mean, even in Hero League, she's too good right now, so she has to get toned back. Her design just, I think, doesn't allow her to be good without being frustrating.
I think the sad part is that the Ghost Protocol is not being used for cute tricks in lower leagues. It's being double dropped decoys for damage, and then you just run into somebody's face.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Lethal Decoy just needed to be taken away. Like, maybe that's just not a talent that she should have, given that she gets a free clone now or something, you know?
Lots of people calling for maybe it to be a quest completion thing, like Jaina's, since it's a little too cute, maybe. We got some updates, particularly to heroics, and I want to ask you both, are you going to Lifebinder, or is flying into the air and dodging all damage and shooting damage down and healing still too good? Lifebinder got its cooldown reduced to 60 seconds and mana cost reduced.
The second option. I'm going to keep doing what I've already been doing.
When you say it like that, man, it's a tough sell.
Not that I have an opinion.
Yeah.
About a slower ancestral.
That doesn't work if you're hurt.
Kill heal simultaneously with no risk to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that.
I think... I don't know, man. It's just so hard to get Lifebinder to do anything on Alexstrasza. Like, she's already so vulnerable. I feel like you just need Cleansing Flame to not be a huge liability for your team. And you're already fighting around your Dragon Form cooldowns, so what does it really matter if another 10 seconds gets tacked onto Cleansing Flame, because you're not fighting without Dragon Form anyway.
Yeah.
They gave Nazebo a similar treatment here, but with a bit of damage. Ravenous Spirit's damage has been slightly increased, and Gargantuan's health has been reduced.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still Garg. I'm more worried about the level 20 thing. Like, they reduced the damage of his poison overall against heroes by 25%, basically.
Yeah, 50%. Taking that from 200% level 20 to 150. Jeez.
Yeah, so it's a lot of damage lost. And I already feel like Nazebo 20... I mean, you generally win the game, but, like, you could still win against it. So, I don't know. Nazebo definitely is going to feel some pain from this, I think.
Yeah. This was the thing that kind of I was kind of just slamming the Nazebo games last week. This week I'm just like, okay, well, this is another excuse for me to pick Zagara. So this is pushing me back onto my old love. Yeah. So
I already felt like Nazebo was getting kind of controlled by, we were talking about how games are like ending early. They feel kind of snowbally. You can use things like Zagara Asmo to get ahead in the first place and actually close out the game. I think Nazebo was already going to fall off a little bit because it just feels like level 20 is too late in this meta. And now, he's not even like a guaranteed quote unquote win at 20. So I think definitely his stock has fallen, and look for those early game specialists.
Yeah, that's how I feel. There was, you already had the counterplay. You see Nazebo, okay, well, let's get the early lead, let's keep it, and let's win. And then there's going to be a Sylvanas on Dunk Train's team, and they're going to feel responsible for that win.
True.
All right. Well, before we try and make a little sense of all of this, let's thank our patrons over at patreon.com/ITN. We're doing great now after Patreon has announced that they're not making those damn changes that they announced. So thank you everyone who has returned. Thank you to all of our new patrons. Really appreciate it. On this episode, we wanted to thank Brian D, Mark P, Johnny J, first initial P, last name Ness. Ha ha, sir. Well played.
He did it.
He did it. And Shane C, thank you very much for your support. And I also want to let our patrons know, if you are at the $2 per episode level or higher, you can now access our show notes early. You get access to what we're calling the ITN show notes draft. It's a Google Doc. We're going to just keep working in the same doc every week, so you get to see us start dropping in what our topics will be, the links that we're going to be pointing to, typically the day before we record. So if you want to see how the sausage is made, or just kind of get prepped so you can tell us we're wrong in the chat room when the live stream comes up, just head on over to patreon.com/ITN. We have already linked to that document, which we're sitting in right now. So go and check that out. Now let's move on and let's have a little strategy discussion, even though we've kind of been having one all show long with Dunk.
Choose a talent.
Choose a talent.
Talent? Ah, that seems generous.
And this is your brain on fell magic.
All right. Dunk, I feel like every time you come on the show, major changes to the game has happened, and we kind of just eventually quiet down and go, what's going on? Are we crazy? Are we doing things wrong? Should we rethink the way we play?
Burn it all. Burn it all to the ground, start a new roster. That's the only way. No, honestly, the thing I'm seeing the most right now in the A-Move chat in our community is, I'm X kind of player and I got first pick. What the heck am I supposed to do? So I think where we can really start this conversation is, what are our bans right now? What has to go?
Oh, Dunk, I think you might be muted.
Oh, I was muted. Oh, weird. Okay. I must have like a hotkey on my keyboard or something that I forgot about and probably hit while I was going to look at the heroes.
How responsible of you.
Yeah, so what I was saying is with Garrosh changed, we basically got an extra ban slot, I think. Garrosh is no longer the terror that he was. Frightening banners everywhere. And right now, I feel like the value bans are Valera or Nova, for sure, value bans, if that's what you're interested in doing, if you're worried about those, and you're not an early pick to grab one of those, which I think is totally legitimate strategy. Greymane is always a solid ban, but usually seen in like the second rotation. If no one on your team has picked it yet, or you already have a different ADC, then like going for the Greymane ban can be super value, because I think he is right now the standout range carry for consistent damage. And then also sometimes I like bans on like Uther if they already have a Genji is a ban I'll sometimes do, or like Lucio if they already have an Arthas is something I'll sometimes do, and we have like someone who wants to play Malthael, something like that. But in general, I feel like the field is pretty wide open right now in terms of bans after like the Nova Valera stuff.
If you were, one of the ones I see mainly is, I'm a tank player. I'm a tank player, guys. I'm in silver, and I always get first pick. What tanks are the main tanks right now?
Okay, so for main tanks, early picks, I'm seeing a lot of success from ETC early picks, Murden early picks, and then Arthas early picks. Specific people will pick Diablo and do well with them. And then that's about it as far as like early picks for main tanks. And then later in the draft, I think there's definitely room for like a Nubrak, Stitches, or Johanna to be good, but I don't think they're in the same level of like versatility as the other three, the ETC, Murden, and Arthas, who I really like seeing early in my draft, because it feels like they just cover the tank role so well, and like they can fit in a lot of different comps.
I'm seeing a lot of solo tank and Nubaraks out there, and they're usually kind of leading the draft, it seems.
I mean, I don't think a Nubrak is bad, but I'm one of those people who, like, when it comes to the draft, I don't really trust my team to always draft appropriately around me. And first picking a Nubrak is like, we have to hard engage. We have to dive, like, blow someone up at the start of the fight. That's what a Nubrak says to me. And I don't always expect people to, draft along with that. I think he's great when you're backing up another diver. Like if you have a Leap Sonya or a Genji, like a Nubrak's fantastic. But I don't like opening with him because I think he's a little too one-dimensional. Like you have to dive. You're committed to that,
Guides the draft too much.
Yeah, I think he requires too much of your team to be looking at their monitors, while they pick their heroes.
There was a short stint where I was maining him, and I moved off of him for that reason. It kind of felt like I was always getting stuck out. Mm-hmm. Although I am seeing so much Li Ming this week, I don't know what's going on. That I've at least 4 of my games I've thought, should I take a noob here? Should I? And the answer is no. Just go Leap Sonya and kill the freaking Li Ming.
That's good too.
Is that the kind of state of things? Because it feels like there's a select group who is aware that armor exists and drafts for it, and yet I'd rather just have stitches.
Well, it boils into what you were talking about, Dunk. Like you didn't even bring up the spell armor about a noob. It's like it seems like it's a non-issue, and I think it is. Like, yeah, it's great that he has the spell armor. That's fine, but still, at the end of the day, just the way his kit is made, if your team can't complement the way that your hero plays, that's fine. What are you gonna do? Then you're relegated to just dancing and absorbing arcane orbs all day.
Oh yeah, it feels so bad as a new rec when you like don't have a dive team and you have to kind of like do that little scurry back and forth in the front of your team, and you're like, oh, I'm taking so much damage. Like this is not what my hero was made for. As you let your range carries like poke the other tanks.
Yeah.
Oh, you got that Nerubian armor, and you end up with like shed exoskeleton and the chitinous plating, and you're like, watch my dance. It totally works. Like it rocks Lunara because you're constantly getting procs because it's spell damage, but it's just the most stressful thing on earth. You just want to be anybody else.
Yeah, I don't like it. You don't let go of right click. You just drag, man. You're scrubbing your screen with your cursor.
Yeah.
I don't care for it. It's not why I came to Heroes. It's not why I'm playing this game.
So we got an idea of some of the tanks, some of the damages we can pick there. What about support? Your main support, you end up on first pick.
Main support ending up on first pick. Personally, I like. I want to say I like Lucio the most as like a completely generic support right now. But support is one of those roles where I really prefer being late pick because I feel like matchups are so important. Like right now, I think if the enemy team has a Valera, like you really want a Malfurion. And if the enemy team has like a Genji, you really want an Uther. Or if like you have a Genji because you don't want to let that combo happen, So for me, support is definitely one of the ones I like to pick first the least. But if I do have to, it's generally Lucio or maybe a Stukov on Infernal Shrines or Battlefield of Eternity because I feel like his lurking arm is extra good on those maps.
You mentioned Valera there in passing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to ban her, likely. Hopefully.
Probably. I mean, yeah, if you have the crown, you're probably banning her or Nova.
If she gets through, how big of a reaction? Is Malfurion enough of a reaction solo? Or do we need more?
I think there's a couple different ways you can take it. I don't think she's completely unbeatable. Like I think Nova right now is too safe doing too much damage. And you like kind of never want to let it through. Valera, I feel like if you like Valera's not so broken that I feel like really, really outmatched if there just happens to be a Valera on the enemy team, if the team's not like coordinating their draft with it or whatever. But I think the solo Malfurion is a fantastic response because like the self route and then you like kind of stand on the opposite side of it from Valera after the silence wears off. It's just really hard for her to get back in range of you. Combined with Moonfire is super easy to knock her out of stealth. The new mouth build is doing a lot of auto attack damage at 1, which is surprisingly good against divers who don't one-shot you. And Mouth has like a little bit more base HP than Valera can comfortably one-shot, so I just feel like that matchup's really nice. You just want to have at least one other person on your team who's going to turn around and help you. That's the biggest thing against Valera, is like Valera will dominate a game if you're split off a little bit, like a range carry, a support, whatever. If anyone is split off and the Valera goes on them, if somebody else doesn't help them, like that person will die. but it's all about, buying time for someone else to help you. And I think Malfurion does a fantastic job of that.
Wow, this talent is incredible. The alignment, increase the reveal time of Moonfire to 3 seconds, and basic attacks against the revealed target deal 100% increased damage. It's made in the lab for this situation.
It is a lot. I mean, it is a surprising amount of damage. People do not really expect it either yet. Something I've been noticing, before a mouse just wah, 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 throwing those little green pellets, you don't even notice it, right? But 100% increased damage, ooh. 3 or 4 autos, you are chunking squishies.
Yeah, I saw Malfurion just hold his ground this week like a Rainer, like we were talking about earlier. I was like,
yeah.
What is he doing? And just owning. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Where did Malthiel come from? What happened? Is that Sonya reaction?
I think the Malthiel has gotten a lot more popularity because in the wake of his nerfs to his passive build, everyone kind of stopped playing him for a second. And then during that time, there was a lot of double support, especially full AoE healing supports like Brightwings and Lucio's, and paired with another support where the Malthiel damage just wasn't enough. And now that we've seen the supports get heavily nerfed, combined with the switch in Malthiel playstyle and talent build to the die alone style, for the laning phase and for cleaning up team fights, he's really strong again.
That's so kind of like what's happening with Tychus then. The double support went away. You can commit harder. That was my problem with Greymane in previous seasons, is I didn't know when to go in because in a blink of an eye, it could be the worst choice I've ever made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I think Malthiel is really well positioned right now. He's super strong. Malthiel is a very common second phase ban for me. Actually,
right.
Now that I think about it, Malthiel and Genji, if they're still up in second phase, I look at my comp and their comp and think, okay, which one are we weaker against, or which one are they stronger for, and tend to ban one of those.
What about our newest guy, Hanzo here? Lucio, Hanzo, they're all running amok, but Hanzo, the math has been done on him, and it doesn't look too good, but he's got stellar Merc control. Is that enough?
I think Hanzo's on the borderline playable list. I only play Alarak on Battlefield of Eternity, for example. It's not that Alarak is terrible. I just think he's not quite worth picking outside of Battlefield of Eternity. And I feel like Hanzo kind of is in that same territory where I don't think he's just generically good, but sometimes you can get value out of him, and he's not terrible. I don't feel bad if I have one on my team on other maps, but it's kind of I don't expect him to get as much value out as I would from a Volo or a Greymane. Although on Battlefield of Eternity in particular, with the Scatter Arrow build, bonus damage to the Immortals, with the auto attack cooldown, he races like a champ. So on that map, he's definitely viable.
I've been seeing that too.
Mm-hmm.
My thoughts on Hanzo have my anecdote when I've been asked about him has been, I feel like I'm dying a lot to Hanzo, but I don't feel like I'm losing to Hanzo.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think he really struggles at closing out games. Because I feel like he does a lot of damage and will sometimes pick up kills, but not the decisive team fight victories, and he doesn't push down buildings that well, which is a surprisingly important aspect to your range carry, is how much damage they can do to buildings. Greymane shreds buildings. He's a monster. So you get a kill in a team fight, and he walks up to your wall in wolf form because he's safe while you're all going back to heal. Your wall's gone instantly. Hanzo walks up to your wall. He's like, pop, pop, pop.
Yeah.
Super slow,
Yeah. No, you're right. That makes a lot of sense. And I like that you added on it. Well, it's because he's in the range slot. Because you don't think about Valera, and it's just but she's melee, she's stealth. It's a different role.
Valera actually has sneaky good boss killing and immortal damage now too, because of Hemorrhage at level 4. Ooh, she does some sneaky damage.
Oh, I hadn't thought about Hemorrhage.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I really haven't had a problem with her, though I did get silenced through a wall this week, and that made me go, what? While she was safely on the other side.
Oh, so she did the silence on you, but then her teleport didn't put her on the other side of the wall?
Yeah,
that's weird. Yeah.
I was doing the camp on Towers of Doom, and she remained in that pocket up by the teleport tunnel.
That's probably just a weird interaction with terrain. Like sometimes stitches hooks, like if you're standing right up against a wall and you stitches hook someone, have you ever had it like not actually pull them through? That happens
Because there's no room for their body to occupy, so they stop
like
on the other side.
your team's like all huddled around you waiting for the hook, and you hit the hook and the guy gets pulled and ends up on the other side of the wall, and you're just like, oh, not like this.
Yeah, that seems like it'd be difficult to replicate. So I'm thinking it.
Yeah,
that's good. That's comforting to hear, because when I saw that, I went, no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
Is a range 3-second silence.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that would just be busted. No, I haven't seen any Valera, and I want to. I want to play. I've seen Novas. It's annoying, but I haven't seen any Valeras, and I want to, because I keep hearing these stories, and I feel like I'm gonna climb, and eventually I'm gonna get there, and I'm gonna have no idea what to do.
Run. You like.
Oh, okay.
Right click in the
Thanks,
direction
Doug.
away from the Valera is generally the play.
Thanks, Doug. I appreciate
Unless
it.
you're Sonya. You're Sonya.
Oh,
Or
well,
the next 2 weeks, you could just like turn around and start auto attacking them, and they'll be like, "What are you doing? You're supposed to be scared."
Although I have seen some Sonyas get like 1v1 by Valera, like, ooh, it's scary. She actually,
Frightening thought.
yeah. If Sonya's at like 75%, I'd say that is the threshold where like the Valera actually starts winning the 1v1.
That's terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh, no thanks. Well, all right. Well, this is starting to make sense. That wasn't too far off in some of my thoughts. Although,
Is there anyone we need to put to bed right now? Just don't ever pick dead game characters.
Don't.
From a readability standpoint, Might of the Nerazim is a nightmare as a support. Because Zeratul is going in, moving out, going in, moving out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's happening.
Zeratul actually I think is the worst stealth now for general Hero League games. Like I even think Samuro is probably stronger in the new meta. I just have not been impressed by Zeratul play in GM, and it's basically completely fallen off. And if people aren't able to execute Might of the Nerazim Zeratul at GM, there's just no way it's going to be effective at lower ranks, you know?
how strange is that to say? Zeratul being the weakest.
I mean, I still think he has applications in competitive, again, where like Void Prison or Might of the Nerazim might have really specific uses, but like, I just have not seen Zeratul's getting consistent value in Hero League. So until like a pro comes along and like streams a whole bunch of games showing the build, showing the play style, and that can actually trickle down, I'm not really convinced.
Speaking of his Protoss buddy, what happened to Tassadar? He feels like he got destroyed by the damage change.
Yeah, I think TAS is really bad right now. The TAS is like right at that break point of maximum health where he almost dies to a stiff breeze. And like when they nerfed his HP, he got into territory of actually dies to stiff breeze, whereas like the extra 100 health was just barely keeping him alive in so many situations because of his own invulnerability dimensional shift. Like, yeah, Tassadar is a big no-no for me unless you specifically have a Vala Tracer to take advantage of the shields or a Diablo to take advantage of the walls being able to cue people into them.
It's a cute addition.
I have felt the same way about Tass, and I've been wanting to take him now that we have stealthies running amok. But it just doesn't seem...
You're just better off with like a Brightwing and just go Peekaboo or a Malf or something. Even as a second support, I still think that's better than Tassadar. Like where you have Tass as your second support, you're just better off with a Brightwing or a Malf probably.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or even like a Zarya or something. Zarya gets surprisingly good application when you're trying to defend against things like Valeras or something. Like you shield or engage target and they can just turn and trade, and suddenly the Valera's like, oh no, what do I do? They're facing me, you know?
Well, and if we enter a Garrosh playable meta, Zarya's speed shield at 4 is just incredible.
That's true. Yeah, that is a scary talent, man.
Well, I appreciate the I appreciate the sounding board, Dunk. Been I've had questions this week, but sounds good. The one
man.
Throughout this episode, I'm just glad I'm like, okay, cool. I was right to not be taking Sylvanas.
Well, in my opinion, some people swear by her, man. I don't know.
Okay, Kyle, you and I had an off-air Sylvanas chat last week, or was it on air? It might have been on air.
Maybe. I still feel like it's a very spammable hero, and the majority of Sylvanas quickly forget, like Asmodeans, their losses and remember the sweet stomps. And maybe their brain is just bit for that reward center to go, I did it, and ring out loud. I mean, I landed Divine Shield, and my brain goes, you're the best. And I'm like, I know.
Mine are sweet haunting wave kills. That's what does it for me. The sweet, like, oh, he's going to get away. I'm going to send my haunting wave off. And by the time he starts to escape, I'm over where he was going to be, and he's dead, and everyone thinks I'm a cool person.
I think you're cool.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, Mom. All right, well, let's wrap it up with an email and bring it home.
Darkness stopped calling.
Hold on. Darkness just texted me.
Okay, tell him I'm not here.
As I'm muted, everyone's been muted this, or no, Kyle hasn't been muted.
It wasn't me this time.
You got to mute one time this episode, Kyle. We can make a clean sweep. Anyways, if you want to write in, if you want to be a part of Into the Nexus, itncast@gmail.com is the place to send your emails. Kevin writes in this week and says, I just finished my placements last night and poo. Artistic license there. Am I tilted? I placed in Silver 3, which is pretty standard for me. The thing is, most of the people I end up playing with obviously seem like they belong there. I know it sounds cliche and in bad form to blame your teammates, but the mistakes I see them make are things I recognize from my own play from over 2 years ago and have developed past. But I am in Silver, so I expect that. About halfway through my placements, when I was on the cusp of Goal 5, I ended up against a team with an obvious smurf. He was punishing the living hell out of my teammates, and we got stomped. I politely whispered at him after the game, and we had a friendly conversation about his smurf account. He is normally in high platinum and made a smurf to see if he could do better. This loss against the smurf was followed up by a losing streak that really set me back in my goal of getting to gold. The thing that is really bothering me is thinking about the many ways to lose in Silver League. I feel like we could just redact Silver League from here. Everyone always says that your team has 4 chances of having the worst player and the enemy team has 5. I've actually never heard this before, but that's kind of cool. But the same could be said regarding Smurfs. Also, I believe that drafting is more important than ever in the current patch. As such, even if your team is mechanically better, you can just straight up lose the matchup and be screwed. On top of all that, you have to deal with the salt and flames of Silver League's finest. With all of this, I'm having a really hard time finding motivation to queue up again for Hero League. What do you guys suggest for dealing with the 7th Circle of Hell? Wow. Kevin, really, tell me what you really think. Yeah,
I think Kevin's feelings are common across the community.
Yeah, I certainly, like I said, so last week, Kyle, I got on the show. I'm like, man, I'm full tilt, man. They threw me in Silver. I can't believe what's going on here, man. But I don't know. Maybe I've just broken, because now I'm just like, I don't care anymore. Screw it. Wherever it throws me, it throws me. I'm just going to play this game and have a good time. And
no, but you say that, but you did solve a puzzle this week. We were talking the other night, and you traditionally really enjoy specialists, but you don't like the solo lane. So in your placements and in your previous season, you had a bit of a disconnect.
That's a blanket statement. I don't like the solo lane on Braxis. That's
Fair
it.
enough.
That is it.
I don't.
I like the solo lane everywhere else. But
But you have confidence beyond your Sylvanas with Sonya. You're a very big bully with Sonya because I feel like it reminds you of Arthas. And now you're in that solo lane very strong, having a great representation, and you have been excelling recently in your games.
Yeah, I don't think Sonya and solo, like I am solo laning in Sonya, but I don't think that's why I'm winning. I think I'm winning because I'm just killing. I'm just initiating a kill. Because I've started going Leap. When I was going Sonya last season, I was going Wrath of the Berserker. And since I am a product of what's popular, I don't have original thoughts in this game. I'm like, why is everyone taking Sonya? Let me put on my white lab coat and figure it out. And like Jack Skellington taking all of the fun out of Christmas, I have distilled this down to you just take Leap and murder people. However, I found fun in that because it's really fun to murder people. So in that regard, I don't know. Maybe you are right, Kyle. Maybe there is something there because you can apply a lot of what you learned from solo laning and merc timings on a specialist like Zagara. If all of a sudden you just apply that to Sonya, who can do a lot of the same things very well as Zagara, but you also have this almost assassin level initiation that Zagara just does not have, no matter how well you play her. Yeah, maybe there's something there, but this is also very specific. I'm not sure if it's particularly helpful to Kevin here.
No, but finding that thing that you click with and solving your own puzzle is very powerful if you're looking to climb. Like for me, the lowest I've been was on Nazebo, because after Violent Faction came out, I didn't know where to be because I could do everything. I was supposed to double soak lanes. We still had Blackheart's Bay and Hero League rotation. That was nice. But I could also go take mercs. I could do a spider build and kill everybody. And so I could never decide. I was indecisive all match long because I could be everywhere.
See, I look at it almost like I did back when I was trying to climb an Overwatch. I had this epiphany. I should just play Zenyatta, because I can see where we're lacking, and Zenyatta can more or less pick up the slack. If you don't have enough damage, Discord Orb. If everyone's about to die, your ultimate saves literally everyone in a radius that is ridiculous. And the same thing kind of goes for Sonya. So yeah, she can do all these things, but you can pick the one that you're like, oh, this should be getting done. And you can just go do it. You don't need to wait for anybody. You can be decisive.
Yeah, that's definitely part of the value of Sonya is like merc control and stuff. That's why Greymaine's really good right now too. Especially with the Siege Giant change. Like, you only need a high DPS hero to kill the Siege Giants effectively, since you can dodge all their auto attacks now. I know a lot of people don't know that, but even the neutral Siege Giants can actually have all of their auto attacks dodged. So you wait for them to start their animation and little red circles show up, and then you can move to the side out of it. So squishy heroes who traditionally couldn't solo Siege Giants that well actually can now, the high DPS ones. So that's a big plus for them. But in general,
that was nice.
Yeah. In general, I think actually what you talked about at the beginning, Garrett, about your mindset going into the games is actually a way healthier way to approach it. Like, one of the most common questions I get on stream is like, how do I climb, or what hero do I pick to climb? And I feel like a lot of people now, like, they see their rank in front of them and they're like, my goal in playing Hero League is to increase my rank number because that's what feels good. But really, your goal should be to get better and improve, and like your rank number will be a reflection of that over time. So like, instead of asking for like the one secret trick that everyone's going to hate you for to climb ranks, like getting better, you'll eventually climb. And I wouldn't worry too much about like, oh, I'm having a rough season, I got placed lower than I thought, or whatever. These games seem tough. Like, if you just focus on self improvement, like at the game, you will climb eventually.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, and I'm curious how many games in a season Kevin plays, because I don't play a lot of Hero League. I don't. I play a lot of quick match and unranked with friends. For me, Heroes has become a more social game this year. And when I see certain friends on, I'm like, cool, playing Heroes. But that means I'm not playing Hero League if I'm playing with friends. So I don't log a lot of Hero League games, and I haven't. And it has definitely gone down as the year has progressed. And at kind of the beginning of this, I don't know if my Hero League game was charted out. At the beginning of the downturn in numbers of games played, I felt very much like Kevin. And I could be wrong, but it sounds like maybe Kevin doesn't log a lot of games, and I don't want to presume, but that's certainly what was happening with me. And then once they started talking about performance-based matchmaking, once we started having these conversations about how that, like we had today, about how that system should really be aimed at rapidly moving low number of Hero League players, or like low number of games for Hero League players. It should be aimed at moving them around, whether it's up or down, to the league they belong in. I started to think about it. I'm just like, well, I'm just not one of those people that masses games. So I should probably take this out of my head, because at the end of the day, the system just doesn't know what to do with me. So I need to get in. I need to play the game. And like you said, I just need to do my best, and whatever that may be. And in this last week, like I said, in that second game after that first loss, and I'm like staring down silver. I'm just like, why am I here? And by game 2, I was just like, well, screw it. Like, who gives a crap? I want to play heroes. It doesn't matter. I mean, yes, it does matter at the end of the day. You've got all kinds of people everywhere, whether it's general chat in the game itself, Reddit, the official forums, making you feel like crap because it's a big EP measuring game.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, at the end of the game, if you want to play the game, play the game. And try your best. And honestly, I have been going in expecting mistakes to be made. I'm definitely not. I'm not like super zen. I'm not super positive. I'm going in cynical, but I'm coming at it from a different angle. I'm trying to think of like, I know some problems are going to be made. What are the biggest potential problems from what I can see in the draft? What can I pick, and what am I going into this game in the head state of how can I fill in gaps I think are about to be made? So I don't know if that's helpful at all, but lately it's just been XP and damage and filling that however I can. Kyle, you seem to think that it's support, and I don't think there's necessarily a right answer. Like you said, Dunk, everyone's like, oh, who should I climb with? Don't ask that question. Answer that question for yourself, because if you're not invested, you're just going to get tilted.
Right, and it changed. Just like, you talk about an angry chicken with Hearthstone. If you want to climb in Hearthstone, get a quick deck because you got a lot of ground to cover, and then you can get serious later on. I mean, when I got into Platinum, I went Lunara and just overwhelmed every support in there. And when I got to Diamond, I had really good Valas and Greymane, so I went on Uther. And the different leagues have these different touchstones to them and these personalities that you can take advantage of and help those characters carry and help you get a victory on the other side of it. I think when it comes to lower leagues, people are like, how, as we've been saying here, how can we climb? The main, and I don't want to call it lazy play, but it is lazy play. It's casual play. You don't push your advantage. You need to be a jackass. And that's why Greymane's so damn good, because you kill that thing and you go, what's next? What's next? That thing, that building, that's mine. I take it from me. And then you kill that building, and then someone gets out of position because they want to take that building. So you kill Muradin. You don't use ults on tanks, but you do on Greymane, because why not kill him? And then that's an advantage, and you keep going. The case of the Loopies is what we talk about with the Jeff Kanata training show I do with the coaching there. He gets a kill on Dahaka and then takes this sort of relaxed stroll in a couple circles as he goes, that felt good. And I'm like, forward to the wall, the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've been doing with Sonya. Kyle, you know me and how ravenous I get when like there's a kill and everyone's like, all right, let's just hug the wall, everybody. And I'm just like, no, there's 4 more people behind there. What are you doing? But I've done exactly that, although usually there's one other hero outside of the wall and we continue the kill. But I have been the person to continue the fight that never ends this week, and it's winning games. I'm so confused. Yeah. Everything I thought is kind of out the window. Although at the same time, I've always known like damage and XP wins games. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But
we do the same thing in StarCraft. We win a fight and then we go, that was nice. I'm going to go tech. And no, you got to get the Zerglings in the base now. Kill the workers. You got the wall open. Don't let them rebuild.
Yeah. You don't get to take a break.
Rule number 1, win ahead, get more ahead, man.
Yep.
Rule number 1.
Knowledge.
Yep. Absolutely fundamental to all gameplay, like PvP stuff. If you're ahead, get more ahead.
Yeah.
And that's why I like your Sonya pick so much, because you heal yourself. I like your Zagara because it heals itself and it can relocate on the map. There's no reason for you to back. I can Greymane where I am now because my healer is going to heal me. I wouldn't do that in other leagues.
Yeah, so that's it. And luckily, Kevin wasn't here. He was not asking for a specific thing. Like what he didn't ask what hero. He didn't ask anything. He just he asked for a philosophical answer, I think, and I think we provided one.
I think so.
So yeah, like I would not. If anyone asked me what to climb with, I wouldn't say Zagara. Absolutely not. Like unless it sounds cool to you, and if it does, then go do it. But that's not what I would recommend. I don't think that's what Dunk would recommend.
I actually do kind of, but I say it sarcastically because here's the thing. If someone comes into my chat and is like, hey, it's a person I've never seen their name in Twitch chat before. I don't know this person. They're not like a regular in the channel who hangs out and wants some legit advice. They're clicking on a high streamer and saying, hey, what do I climb with right now? What's OP? Like that player is not someone who I'm going to invest like my effort into like making them a better player. Like, so I just tell them, well, just pick Zagara and push your lane. Like, because they're looking for the magic bullet, and there are better picks, but there's not magical bullets. And like, I don't feel a responsibility to like impart all of the game knowledge I possibly can on someone who shows up in my stream chat and says, what do I pick?
Yeah. The only other thing I'd say is like, now that we've said over and over again, like, don't just have someone tell you a hero and then run with it. But one of the things that helped me very, very early on was when Kyle, when you hit 1 back before we had master and whatnot, I just started playing heroes that you were playing. But that's because I talked to you regularly and I could get 1-to-1 feedback on what I was doing. Like, I know it works. So if it's not working for me, I'm doing something wrong. Where can I improve? Because I knew you were where I was and had climbed. So that works too, like a peer system. Like if you have a friend who is higher than you talk to them on a regular basis already about heroes, see if you can't find a few heroes that they are climbing with that you're also interested in playing. But don't make that your only like chance for victory. No. Anyways, Kevin, thank you for writing in. And I would like to repeat that I had better games in silver than gold. So things can be wacky at times. So anyways, keep writing in, everybody. itncast@gmail.com. We're going to wrap this episode up. Thank you so much again to our badass patrons for supporting us. You are the reason that we bring Dunk on once a month. We bring Jeff Kanata on once a month. We pay them. We can actually pay guests on a podcast. Like, that's awesome. I think it's so cool. I don't feel like I'm bothering Dunk when I'm like, hey man, I know you had a rager on Town Hall last night, but you want to come on the show today? Like, it's good. It's a good time. So thank you so much for allowing us to do that. If you like Into the Nexus, if you think you're getting something out of it and you want to support us in return, the best way to do so is the Patreon. So thank you. And also thank you to our producers, Declan H. and Cheesy Bob. You guys are super generous and we really appreciate it. If you want to rep ITN on your chest in a printed format with like a silk screen on there, we got t-shirts at shirts.amove.tv. You can catch us live Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/amovetv. We will be here next week. I think it's the only podcast I'm doing next week on the 28th. Because it's not Christmas, it ain't New Year's, so we will be here with bells on for Jeff Kanata. So come join us. You can follow the show on Twitter at ITNcast. And we got to thank Gorath for our intro music and BrianGriffithMusic.com for our outro. Dunk, you're our guest, so where can everybody find you?
Everyone can find me on Twitter at DunkTrain and twitch.tv/DunkTrain. But like I was saying on my stream before the show, I'm actually going out of town for vacation for Christmas. So I will not be on Twitter. I will not be streaming anything for the next 2 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, so thanks all you guys for, supporting my stream and stuff. Don't forget about me. If you follow me on those locations, don't expect me to say much for the next 2 weeks though. But I'll be back.
Have you taken a vacation recently? Like, when was the last time you just turned off? Like, you got the hell off Twitter?
Ooh, I don't know, man. Like, I went to Seattle for work not too long ago, but that's a little different because it was like still game related and like work. I don't know. It's been a long time, man, since I haven't looked at Twitter every 30 minutes, or whatever.
Yeah, what I was getting at was that it is really nice.
Yeah.
It is extremely nice.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. Just reading books and like, I plan to finally get to play Zelda on my Switch. I haven't got a chance to yet, and I'm about to play the new Zelda. I'm like so looking forward to it, man. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, enjoy that. And at least on the ITN front, we'll definitely remind everyone when you're back, because we're gonna drag your butt onto this show and make you make a tweet about it right after you realize that you don't need Twitter in your life.
Awesome.
Kyle, man, what about yourself? Where can folks find you this holiday season?
People can find me throughout the holidays for the most part over at twitch.tv/Kyle Fergusson. Tomorrow will be a special episode as Sunday is Christmas Eve. We'll be doing our Divinity 2 stream on Friday night at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. So if you haven't checked out PC Gamers Game of the Year and basically digital Dungeons and Dragons, you should check that out. I do the show with John Jagger from The Core and Heroes Forge's Kristen and Jeff. And that's a great time as well. And Team League this weekend. Check it out. I love getting to play with those guys. It's fantastic mode where we all get to be in control of everything. And that's pretty nice.
I have played maybe 6 hours of Divinity 2, and I am confident in saying it's my game of the year.
It's something special.
It's so good. I just need more time is all. Maybe that's
you got to treat it like a little league or your company golf meeting. You got to set a time every weekend. Everybody's there. Mm-hmm. Bust that thing out, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, folks, I'm on Twitter at Garrett Art. All of the podcasts I do over at amove.tv. I've been promoting it, and I'm still going to because it's only been out for a week. I have a Star Wars podcast. It's called Let's Talk About Star Wars. We usually do it once a month. We've been doing it twice a month in preparation for The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi has now released, and the spoiler episode is up. So go listen to that. And if you want even more spoilers after that, Kyle made me stick around for another 40 minutes after our Weak Sauce episode this week and continue talking about The Last Jedi. So if you haven't subscribed to Kyle and I's show Weak Sauce, which is spelt like days of the week, go and do so because it's Kyle and I talking about everything under the sun except Blizzard games.
Yeah.
So,
you like this show, how it's about heroes mostly? You're welcome. There's a new show called Weak Sauce where everything else went.
Yeah. If you're one of the listeners is like, I like that Indiana Jones reference. I wish the entire podcast was that. We made a show for you. Go listen to it.
Nice.
All right. That's going to wrap it up for 197. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you again, Dunk, for joining us. And until next time, good luck and have fun.
Take care.
Rolling out.
Still want you to have the train whistle.
Oh, I actually have it.
Oh, shit.
I just didn't want to blow it on the podcast because it seemed kind of rude.
I level everything at the end. It would have protected everyone's ears.
Oh.
I probably would have been spooked. I'm jumpy.
It would not. It would not have, however, have protected their laugh receptacles.
Yeah, I want to set up a compressor on my microphone, but I don't know how, and that's one of the things I'm gonna look into after I get back. But
You know what? I got a mad cheap one. I'll send you the name of a good one here.
I'm still using a USB mic, so is it like
I don't think you can do a
I guess I
compressor.
am an XLR. Yeah.
I've been thinking about making the jump, man. Like I don't know if the audio quality is like it's gonna be a lot better, right? I'm just not sure.
Yeah. I am of the opinion that any XLR mic, because you're going to want to get a mixer, even if it's a small one, is going to be a jump in quality because it's just that once you get that mixer, you get so much more control over your sound because you can control the treble, the mid, the bass.
Yeah.
You've got your gain and everything. So you just get such a wider sense of control with it that like even if you don't want to get a crazy expensive microphone, you just get so much more control. And like I have a pretty robust mixer and it was $120 and there's way cheaper ones that do similar things.
Yeah. I was looking into it like I don't know. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet. It's probably something I'm going to do, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And the only other thing is distance. Usually, unless short of making out with your mic, the closer you get to your mic, the better, even with USB mics.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like one hand span like this, I guess is how they said to do it or something.
Yeah. You do the fingers, the Y.
Yeah.
Any closer and it's like, it interferes with my typing and stuff. Do you guys have that problem? Like when you have a big mic up on your desk and it's like, I can't type to my team because my hands have to go all weird.
Yeah.
Keyboard.
When I'm like if I'm not streaming, I just kind of throw it off to the side like this, and it's like it's fine. You guys can kind of hear me. I'm sorry, my dog's barking.
Yeah, for sure.
But
the nice thing is all the condenser mics are almost all directional, so you don't get any keyboard noise either.
Yeah, well, mechanical keyboards get picked up by
those things are thunderous. There's no stopping that.
Yeah, but I have the red switches, so mine's pretty quiet, but it still gets picked up every now and then. I miss the click though, man.
Dude, I miss the click too, but you just can't have it on a stream. I feel like. I mean, you can, but like.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember when Twitch launched and like?
Oh yeah.
It was all about Wings of Liberty. Yeah. Like I would just be like watching Idris stream, and it would just sound. Like someone was just crumpling paper, the stiffest paper on earth, constantly, all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just insanity. So, well, awesome, dude. That was a good show. I really enjoyed the chat. Cool. And for those who were laughing in the chat room, yes, my wife surprised me with a martini. That's why, like at the last 30 minutes, I just started drinking a martini out of nowhere.
Nice. All right, I got packing and laundry to do and stuff before I go tomorrow morning, guys. So,
yeah, man,
it's nice chatting with you. I will catch you all later.
Have a good one, dude.
Have a great vacation.
Thanks, man. Yeah. See you guys.
Enjoy it. All right, if you are a patron of Into the Nexus, or you're hoping that not that many patrons showed up, stick around for after show games.
Shall we do the switch?
We shall. We're going to swap. We're going to bring the stream down for just half a second, and we'll be back in like 5 seconds, guys. 5 seconds. JM Tibbles, remind me to answer that question